This is my cook set in the red bag with some examples. You can see that it's a little larger than a 12-ounce soda, not quite as wide as a pair of reading glasses, and weighs just over 9 ounces. As it can be seen, this is the ultimate DIY do-it-yourself kit. I made, built, constructed, assembled all items from other items. Cans, butter tubs. Let's break it down and see what it entails. Okay, as you can see, this set consists of a spaghetti sauce can for my water boiling pot and the lid that goes with it. The lid on the bean can removed with a side opening can opener so that the lid can be replaced on top of my wood stove to serve as a frying pan. It's not much, but you can fry small items on that. And also the can removed from us with a side opening can opener. The cap can be put back on this, and all of these contents fit inside here. This fits inside the wood stove. The good thing about this is that I do have an alcohol stove here. I actually tried the Super Cat stove. Actually, the Fancy Feast can is not the best to use. This is an Armour Vienna sausage can. The metal is slightly different, and the thermal conduction rate of this is more efficient. It primes faster. This is the typical 32-hole cat can. It does work fine, but when I put my pot over it, you get a lot of flames coming out the side, so the flames are a little bit too free. So I tried fewer holes, only half the amount of holes. This is instead of 32, this is 16. There are 16 holes in here to slow the flame down so that it takes a couple minutes longer to boil the water, but the water benefits from more of the heat from the stove instead of too much blow-by, and you got all that wasted heat. And it worked better than the 32. Still not perfect to liking, so I tried 8. This is a cat stove, like a cat stove, but it's the Armour can, and it's only got 8 holes in it. This burns the fuel hot, certainly hot enough to boil water, but slow enough that most of the heat goes directly into the water, and I'm able to boil, rather not rolling boil, but pre-boil 2 cups of water in this tin can, with only just a few drops more than a half an ounce of fuel. So with a slower heat, but it's still a hot heat because it's alcohol, I'm able to save on fuel. So instead of these, I use my 8-hole Super Cat stove on this. It can go right on top, but first you must prime it first. So I still take my wood stove, because if I run out of alcohol, I want to be able to put sticks and leaves and bark and things like that in here, and use it as a wood stove. But I take it anyway so that I can use it as a windscreen for my alcohol stove. And then when this has water in it, I light the alcohol stove and put this over, and I hold it over so that it can begin to heat. I don't lose any heat, and I slowly lower it down onto the stove until it supports. And that system, the flame goes up between the 2 cans. No flame is lost out of the hole. It comes up alongside the can to heat the longer axis of the can with more contact with the water that's in it, than the small bottom, and it heats most efficiently. So this kind of a cook set is better because you have your alcohol stove. If you have access to wood, don't touch your non-replenishable resources. That is considered wise utilization of resource, to use the sticks that you have access to so you don't have to burn your alcohol fuel. Or you can use your alcohol until it's gone, and then you have an option. You have the wood stove option. Bean can, spaghetti can, Vienna sausage can, and the lids that go with them. I get a bowl, which was a Tupperware butter, or this was ranch dip, and the lid that comes with it. It's for the oatmeal. This is my boiling pot, but it's also doubling as my coffee cup, because I pour half the water into my oatmeal, and the other half of the water I pour my cappuccino powder, and it stays in there. When I bring the water to a boil, I don't bring it to a rolling boil. It takes too much fuel, and it's too hot to consume right away. Heat the water until there are bubbles on the bottom, but the top is still, and there'll be bubbles along the side. That's just a few degrees cooler than rolling boil anyway, and it is hot enough to reconstitute all meals, breakfast meals and dehydrated or freeze-dried meals. I also have a spoon that extracts long enough and tall enough for the freeze-dried meal bag so that I can reach it in there without getting my hands all gunky with the food. A small scrub pan to clean up after the meal and dry everything. This is just a fourth, 1/4 of a bandana, because you keep it small. This is a drinking straw that has seasonings in there. It's got salt and pepper in the same seasoning. You can give it a few taps. The top comes off, and it's just a straw with the ends melted. Thanks to John over at Intense Angler. Excellent idea on the straw seasoning packets. You can have more than one. They don't weigh anything, and they go right into your cook set. Small lighter as opposed to a big one. And that's it. Everything homemade. Everything repurposed and utilized. Retasked, repurposed, and it only weighs 9 ounces. You don't count the weight of the fuel because the fuel is a consumable and the weight of the fuel changes. All of this fits together in there and makes for a small pack volume. Your entire kitchen. Incidentally, as an added bonus point, if your fuel amount that you'd like to use, a ½ ounce, is not enough to bring regular temperatured water to a boil, pour your 2 cups of water into a Ziploc freezer bag and set it out in the sun for an hour before you cook. It'll easily become 105 degrees inside this bag. Since it's clear and water is clear, you don't have to turn it over. 1 hour in the sun, give you 105 degrees. Well, guess what, folks? That's half the temperature of boiling. All you need is enough fuel to bring the water the rest of the way to the boiling temperature. If there are no sun out, there is no sun, and you've just got some cloud cover or fog, you can use these collapsible water bottles. Put your 2 cups of water in there and put it inside your clothing, get it warm. At least takes the chill off of it for your breakfast. Put it in your sleeping bag. Keep it warm. The warmer the water starts, the less fuel you'll need to bring it to a boil.